Hi. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Okay, let's start again. Hi, I'm not an influencer. I am not going to sell you anything. I am not cool. Don't follow me on Instagram. I'm making this video because I have been on a health recovery journey for the last year, and at one point I just got sick of being so quiet about it, when I kind of realised the more I spoke to people privately that it was a thing that a lot of females have. Basically, I low-key developed an eating disorder and I hadn't really noticed until everything was going to shit. So my backstory is I was overweight my whole life until 20-something, 21. And then I just hit a point I can't believe I've been overweight for this long and so unhappy for this long. This is going to be my year that everything changes. Fast forward to calorie counting and exercising. I lost weight. Everyone was giving me loads of compliments. And if I had stopped there and gone back to being a normal human being, I would have been alright. What happens in life is that you get addicted to things. So I got addicted to the compliments, addicted to the counting, addicted to the feeling of exhaustion. And also, I was never happy with my body, no matter what weight I got to. So fast forward those behaviours times 3 years, and at this point I'm underweight and I'm pretty much physically depleted. I was anemic, tired. I couldn't digest food properly. I lost my period for 4 years. I had IBS. I was just constipated 90% of the time. That other 10% was diarrhea. So life for me wasn't good. And then I moved to New Zealand from the UK, and then I was balancing between restricting all week and eating as little as I could and going to cardio and HIIT training sessions and a little bit of weightlifting, wondering why I never saw results, while I was restricting my calories every day and making sure that I ate between 1,000 to 1,500 calories, and would often aim to be below that. And then I would binge and have these crazy binges, and then my weight would just fluctuate up massively on the scales. It wasn't a healthy lifestyle, and I couldn't understand why my metabolism wasn't as fast as everyone else's, who could all just eat whatever they wanted and not gain weight, whereas I would eat for one weekend like a normal human, which means anything over 2,000 calories, and suddenly gain kgs. And I would be like, why? Now there is science behind that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the main reason I got fed up is because like I said, no period, bad energy, really pale all the time and ill looking. My white blood cell count was dangerously low, and it had been ever since I started restricting my calories, because I was monitored with blood tests because I thought my body was fighting something off. But it was just me not eating. Did any medical professional ask me if I was eating enough? No. No. And yeah, I went to sex health planning centres. It's called family planning in New Zealand. I don't know about everywhere else. But I was like, hi, I've not had my period in 3 years, can you help me? And one person told me to look into intermittent fasting because maybe my hormones weren't regulating because I was eating too late. Now, at the beginning of your journey, you might think, I'll try that then. That's not what's wrong. That is not the issue. So anyway, I was rock bottom. My nails broke off, my sex drive, what sex drive? And so I got diagnosed with depression during uni, but it's always been manageable for me. There's a really strong correlation with undereating and depressive episodes for me. I was sick of just being sick all the time. I was just sick of my life to that point of never being happy with my body, even though at this point I was really slim, the slimmest I will ever get. And I want to mention that I have been underweight, which you think, oh, she'll like her body at least at that point. She's driven it to the extremes of what she wants. it was gross. I hated it. I still didn't like my body, and I didn't understand why it didn't look like other people's bodies that I liked. Another spoiler, the bodies you like aren't real bodies, and you need to get those bodies, shake them about, see their cellulite, see them wiggle, see their hip dips. So I started my journey, and the journey basically goes like this. You eat, people will aim for like 2,500 calories. I kind of went intuitively on this. I always made sure it was about 2,000 at least, and would eat over and sometimes a little bit under. And I did that consistently for a year. And there's something called set point theory, or weight set point theory, which is that everybody has a certain weight that they're supposed to stabilize and maintain, no matter exercise, no matter food. We all have a weight that we are comfortable at sitting at. So like this would be the up and down fluctuations, but it will always be along the same line of the same weight. So I start out, I'm pretty hungry, and I'm just letting myself eat anything I want. So this is what I did. If I craved anything, I ate it. If I thought about eating something that I wanted, but I wasn't hungry, I would still eat it. It's about showing your brain and your body that you have complete freedom and there is no restriction anywhere, and you don't need to think like that, because even thinking that you're at the risk of famine will make your body cling on to your fat. Side note. So I was just making sure that I would eat whatever I wanted to eat. And it was great, it was fabulous, but it came with so many like repercussions that are just part of the journey. So bloating, like struggling to digest things, constipation, like everything for the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks is a bit of pain. And they also recommend that you like stop all activity. Now, I never stopped walking. I did stop all of my F45 and HIIT training and running. I stopped all of that and would only do like yoga or walking, because I did walk for my mental health more than anything. As it goes on, like there would also be some binging, because you don't know how to stop. Like often when you restrict, you will binge, because eating is a pendulum. If you restrict too much, you will binge too much. And if you binge too much, you'll then restrict. You just want to find that sweet spot where you indulge and then go back to normal, you know? So it's never too exaggerated. So that's kind of what I did, and it just took a long time to get there. So for the first like 2 months I would still binge sometimes, and the binging slowly stopped and my hunger slowly normalized. Different story with my weight. I don't want to say this will happen to all of you, and I don't want to scare anyone, but I actually have the data. I would say for the first 7 months, my weight went up like every week. And in the beginning, I would see like a kg every week in the very, very beginning. And then it would be half a kg every week. And then it would slow down a little bit. Some weeks it would stabilize. And I'd be like, I've got it. This is my new weight. I don't love how it feels, I don't love how it looks, but at least I'm like one step closer to eating like a normal human being and my metabolism acting like how it should. Because the more you restrict, the more your metabolism slows. In a way of protecting itself and maintaining all your organs, it slows everything down to reserve energy. So I was like, it's speeding up, it's meeting the demands of like, I've got all this food, so use it. And then I would suddenly see another kg the next week, and it would just constantly go up, to the point where I then had to stop weighing myself because I was just having a crisis every day. It was like, it was really bad sometimes. I would just get up, weigh myself, and then just be on the sofa and cry. And I'm really lucky I wasn't alone throughout this process, and I explained it to my partner at the very beginning, everything that I was going to do, to not question it. And like, you don't want to gain weight and your partner's like, you're looking a little bit stodgy, okay? No, you don't want that shit, it's toxic. So I told my boyfriend, and I also told friends, just so when they saw me gaining weight, they didn't comment on it and cause me to relapse and starve myself. So It's really important that you communicate and you educate. And if you get any negative comments, just say, educate yourself. Off. So what happened is that I gained a lot of weight and very quickly, and with this also comes water weight, so you're puffy, your arms are like bulging, my boobs were like massive for a little while, and as someone who'd always been flat-chested throughout my like slimmer days, I was happy about that, and I hated everything else. So I'm not saying that going on this journey is easy. Just because you know you're doing the right thing, it doesn't mean that your brain suddenly like, oh, you don't look fat, you look fine. Like, I had to stop looking in mirrors. I don't have a long mirror in my house anymore. I also had to stop weighing myself, and I do recommend, if you need to do this yourself, you just don't ever start. Don't weigh yourself on this journey. Set point theory means that you will find your way to that weight and you will maintain that weight. What that weight is none of your business. You don't get to change it. If I could go back and not weigh myself, I would. But I wanted the data. And again, for the same reason I control my calories is the same reason that I need to have all the data. I just need to control everything. E.g. the root of all disorders is a lack of control. But anyway, after honestly not that long, I got my period back, and maybe it took like about 3 months, and then it was like reoccurring. You're supposed to get 3 periods before you really bank on your period being back. And after 3 months of eating more food, I got my period. It was really easy. One thing I want to note is that my weight did stabilize eventually. It did take like 8 months, and from once I saw it had been stable for 8 to 10 months, I just stopped weighing myself because I had faith now that we were done. And also after I did get my period back, I started going to the gym again. I didn't do any cardio, and it was not to punish myself, it was not for any food. I just needed to feel confident, and I think strong women are just my heroes. So if I was going to gain all of this weight, I was going to use this as a bulking period. So I just bulked, and forever. I haven't stopped. I still go to the gym. But it was really important to me that if someone was looking at me, this is in my brain, if someone was looking at me and being like, fuck, she's a bit chunky, I could be like, I will literally squash your head with my thighs. I just needed to know I could do that. I just needed the strength to feel confident. It wasn't about any aesthetics at all. And that really helped me, but I don't recommend you do that until you get your period back at least 3 times. And I also don't recommend you go from 0 to hero. I reckon just introduce it slowly and surely. And also, it's okay to feel really sluggish. I felt really sluggish and shit, and that's to be expected. Don't aim for body positivity. Like, if you can, go ahead. I had to go for body neutrality. Like, I just a body, it's a fleshy bag of organs. I don't need to feel more about it than that. I would just be thinking like, your clothes are so effing tight right now. Like, you don't fit these jeans. And I would be like, I don't care as long as I'm healthy and I need to buy new jeans. Anyway, it's going to take me on to my next point, which is you will outgrow all of your clothes, and I suggest you just throw them all away. Don't be like me trying to put on your graduation dress. Not for graduation, but just seeing, can I fit it? Didn't even go over my thighs. So like, just throw everything away, get over it, buy track pants. I wore nothing but track pants for most of the year because I couldn't risk anything. I didn't want to buy any nice clothes because it probably wouldn't fit in a few months. So I think, to recap, no mirrors, throw out your clothes that won't fit or will be uncomfortable, no calorie counting, and don't weight yourself. So now I'm going to talk about the resources I used and how I actually did this. First and foremost, download the book. The Fuck It Diet is a brilliant book. by that, I've read it twice, and I listened to the audio like on walks in the morning to make sure I was starting my day in the mindset that it doesn't matter what size I am, it's society's problem, you know? And also, you know, really educate yourself on that. If you are on Instagram, I had to delete it throughout this journey, like on and off, because it was toxic for me. I would get targeted with stuff even though I kept saying I didn't want to see it. I would just see people with abs and like, eat this, not this. I don't want your fucking lettuce sandwich. And if you don't delete it, make sure you follow body positive people and non-diet dietitians. They're out there. Speaking of that, Christy Harrison, I listened to her podcast. She is just a wealth of knowledge and has lots of guest speakers who, again, will talk about how they got into their eating disorder, how they got out of their eating disorder, and what their triggers are. And it just helps you learn more about yourself because you really start reflecting on yourself a bit. Obviously, I recommend you go watch Stephanie Buttermore's All In videos, and also Nutribolics. Nutribolics is a book written by a doctor who debunks all diet shit we've been fed. A little bit of pun, but literally all the myths. Keto, like, does a medical systematic review of all of them, like showing you how they're not effective, and it's BS. That was really important for me to learn, was that my body only sees sugars, carbs, fats, proteins. It doesn't matter if I get it from an apple or from a packet of crisps, it's still gonna be like some carbs. There's pros and cons of each, and you know what? That's what intuitive eating is. One day you're gonna feel like an apple, one day you're gonna feel like crisps, and you're not gonna think about it any more than that. That's gonna be it. Give yourself, if you're going through the same thing as me, just give yourself a year of completely unrestricted eating, no calorie counting. And if you've lost your period, you need to rest throughout that. If you haven't lost your period and you like exercise, go ahead. But if you're still using exercise as a way to burn calories, like, check yourself. Just switch to yoga, like switch to something that's not as exertive, but you know, still rewarding mentally. I did record the whole year in vlogs to myself, and I was gonna put a little collage together, but so many of them, and two-thirds of them are me hysterical, like being like, just me again, just let you know my weight's still going up, nothing else to report, I hate this. It's like, they're not happy videos. It was like the year had absolute ups and I could feel myself changing, but you can't comprehend how scary it is having your body change in front of you and knowing that you should not get in the way of that. Otherwise you're going to be at square one and you would have effed your metabolism even more. Like, you cannot start this half-assed. You need to commit to it. Otherwise you're really at risk of doubling down and really messing those signals up even more, because you've suddenly gone from like restricting for however long to binging continuously. It won't be binging, it will be eating like a normal human, but at the beginning your body's going to be shocked. It's going to feel like a binge. So if you stop halfway there before like your body, your brain, everything catches up to where it should be, your metabolism, your hormones, then you've essentially gone through all of this agony for nothing. So see the whole thing through. Give yourself a year before you give up. I had a real breakdown at one point, and I was like to my partner, I don't think I'm doing the right thing, this is disgusting. I hate this, I hate my body, I shouldn't be feeling this depressed. This was just like one day. This was just one day where I couldn't see any of the positives, that usually I was fine and that my energy was higher and that I was like living my life the way I should with my friends. I was just done. And he helped me by being like, just give it 1 year. You can always lose weight afterwards if that's what you really want, but give it 1 year. And I'm so thankful that we had that chat and I committed to it, because it works. It works. Like, I'm fine. You think less and less about your body the longer you go on. You do think less and less about it and you care less about it. And sometimes you're even like, it ain't bad. It ain't bad. If you find yourself speaking nastily to yourself about your body, which you will probably do initially, you have to cut those thoughts off straight away. Just get out that habit and retrain your habit to be like, oh, okay, it's fine, you know? Because your brain will form habits, So like, you think that way, you'll continue to think that way. Cut it out. So for this bit, I'm just quickly gonna focus on some of the medical stuff I learned, some of the science that I learned behind all of this that makes everything make sense. So, when you restrict calories for a long time, you're essentially ignoring your hunger cues. And soon enough, your hunger cues will learn that they won't get a response out of you. So they'll either give up or you'll just be continuously hungry. Because essentially you're on the verge of constantly starving just a little bit, which is why you might go into the pantry, you went in there to get granola bar, and suddenly you're like eating a packet of cereal, or suddenly like you're spooning stuff out and you can't stop. And that's because you're really hungry and your body's been trying to tell you, but you haven't been hearing it. When you start responding to your hunger signals, or even like igniting your hunger signals again by eating more and frequently, you should be eating in like every few hours throughout this process, you really start to like really regulate your like hunger cues. And you need to honor them, otherwise it's like a muscle in my mind. Like, you just need to keep honoring them when they turn up so that your body can relax and then actually tell you, I'm not hungry, I am hungry, I'm full, I could eat more. That is actually a really long-term thing that takes a while to show up, so don't expect that quickly. I'm only just getting there and it's been a year. It's been a year. So apart from that, there's leptin and ghrelin, and though they both have a lot to do with telling you when you're full or when you're hungry. And again, these both become heavily disrupted when you ignore your hunger cues. It's just sad. Society's fucked us all. So I think I'll keep doing these when I still have things to like say that I think could be helpful. But for now, I hope this is enough to get started. Now I need to find out how to edit. I'll figure it out, don't worry. I'm not gonna figure it out.